such a beautiful fall day. I don't want to be stuck inside. And this week we're doing alder tree. And I want to see if we have any here. So I'm going to search around and see what I can find.
In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the alder. Now, alder trees are particularly associated with growing next to lakes and streams and rivers and so on, generally in boggy areas, but they will grow in very, very dry areas also. Here we've got the start of alder cones. Later on in the year, that's what they'll turn into. These are very, very useful. Just a quick bit of ID. When the plant is fairly small, anything up to about 10 meters tall, the bark tends to be quite smooth. At least it has that appearance. It is actually a little bit knobbly. It's almost like birch bark. This one's kind of got a greeny tinge. But on the same plant, we've got one here, which is almost grey with white spots on. So they do vary slightly, but it's generally smooth until the plant gets bigger. And I'll show you a mature tree in a second. And the leaves of the alder are reminiscent of hazel, but they're not quite as pointed, and although they still have the sawtooth effect, they're generally more rounded and often bigger as well. It does tend to grow straighter than hazel though. Hazel's more of a bush. Hazel's more rounded, whereas alder tends to grow up and then spread out. But when the trees are young, and from a distance, it is pretty difficult to tell the difference between alder and hazel. Right here we've got a mature alder. And you can see this one's cut up a little bit. It's a little bit rougher, the bark on here. And as it gets bigger and bigger, it'll get rougher and rougher. Still got pretty much the same coloration as the young plant, but it's definitely a rougher bark.
Don't think that's one. On with the hunt.
Celtic tree is the alder, March the 18th to April the 14th. This is a time of rebirth, sunrise, and initiation, and indeed resurrection. Alder is the tree which fairies love. This nature spirits appreciate the beautiful and the subtle, the play and celebration of life coming back from the soil.
Well, I have not found an alder tree, but I've learned a lot about them. Now, the alder sign goes from March 18th to April 14th, and is known as the trailblazer, pioneer, discoverer, and animals like bear, fox, and hawk, and the ruby as the stone. So I've learned a lot about the alder tree and sign, but I did not find any on my property. But we don't have a wet area, so that's probably why. Next week we'll move on to the willow. And thanks for hanging out with us today, and I hope you'll come back. Bye.